Hey guys, welcome back for another video. So I just left the bank. I had to stop and pick up some cash because I'm off on another marketplace adventure. So I've been thinking for a while that I'd really like to have a lift in my shop. I've thought that for years actually, but I don't have room for a lift. I only have 10-foot ceilings, and I just don't have the space. So if you guys have seen these QuickJacks, I've seen these a number of times, and it seems like they work pretty slick for what they are, for somebody who doesn't have a lot of shop space. And they're kind of expensive. They're like, I think by the time you pay for tax and everything, they're like $2,000. So I've been watching the classifieds, and I found this morning a used set. It's up. I've got to go just barely into Minnesota. I've got about a 2.5-hour drive to get there. We got a little bit of snow last night just to trace them out, but they actually got 8 inches up in Minnesota where I'm heading. So I'm hoping, but it's pretty warm. It's warming up quick. I'm hoping that the roads are decent all the way up. I think they will be, and don't run into any slick conditions going up there to pick these stupid things up. But anyway, we're gonna run up. I'm gonna pick these things up. We'll bring them home. I'll get them set up, and we'll put them through their paces, do a run through. And if you guys have ever curious if these things actually work or not, I guess I'm gonna find out here real soon. First snow of the year. It's like bumper cars. Well, I made it to the big city of Bryceland, Minnesota. They definitely got a little more snow up here than we did. They didn't get 8 inches, but maybe, oh, I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's wind blown. They probably got 4 or 5 inches, I suppose. But fortunately, the interstate was pretty good. I did have 6 or 7 accidents that I went past, including 3 vehicles that were laying on their top. So I think last night, or early this morning, was pretty slippery. But for the most part, the interstate was pretty good. So I've got the QuickJacks in the back, and I'm heading home. All right, so I made it back home, got everything unloaded, and just thought I'd show you guys real quick. If you're not familiar with these things, most of you have probably seen these before, but if you're not, basically this is just a portable system. So these jacks you can slide underneath your vehicle frame or the pinch welds, and I'll show you here in a second, but you got this basic frame that comes up. I don't know, it's like a parallelogram or something, I guess. It's got some hydraulic cylinders here, and then we've got lines that just come back to a pump. It's like an electric over hydraulic system, basically. It's got these pretty good length hydraulic lines, actually. Those are, I think, 12 or maybe 13 feet long. So the way this works is we plug these into the control unit here. I don't know if I'll be able to do this with one hand, but basically just has quick disconnects. And plug that in there, and then we'll plug it into this side over here. Do that for both of the ramps, not the ramps, the jacks, I guess, and just lift it up in the air. And it comes with 8 of these rubber blocks, so you've got a lot of flexibility here, position-wise. You can put these blocks, you know, kind of wherever it makes sense to line up on the vehicle, in the front and the back. These are the taller blocks. You've got shorter ones there. If you need a little more height, you can stack them. And then they do make like a truck, an SUV, kind of an extended lift system for these things too, that if you need additional height. I'm probably just gonna make some blocks, so I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna need additional height for my truck. So I'm gonna play with it a little bit and see. I did have to, so already, I'm just looking at the manual. Fortunately, guys still had the manual. So these little air cylinders here are supposed to be charged to between 40 and 50 PSI. And what these things do is when the jacks come up in the air, these actually put kind of back pressure on that cylinder so that they'll come back down and don't don't come down real slowly. So I put a little bit of air in those already. I've done that. I'm gonna grease these joints all up real good. This one looks really good. This one over here, you can see has a little bit of rust. It looks like it was either, I don't know if it sat outside and got wet, or if some fluid dropped onto it or what. But this one has a little bit of rust, and I noticed that I'll show you here how this works. But this is basically the catch, or the safety that keeps it safe, I guess. The lock is what I should say. And I noticed that this thing is pretty tight. So I'm actually gonna loosen that nut up just a little bit, and then I'm gonna lube all these joints real good so everything is moving properly, and we'll plug it in and give it a test. Those are really easy to use. Yeah, those quick disconnects work really nice. All right. So this just runs off of 110, and they give you a controller. Just run it up and down. Pretty simple, not much to it. So I think the question will be now, so we've got 4 cars here. I know 2 of them this will work on just fine. I'm not sure about my wife's Jeep, and then my truck I'm pretty sure I'll need to come up with some blocks to make it work. So I'll have to do a couple tests here and see how much height I can get with this thing. So I decided just to stick them in the middle. That way I can leave all the hoses and everything hooked up. It comes with these 2 handles, so you can reach under there and grab onto them and pull them out to you without crawling all the way under the vehicle. Yeah, that works okay. I'm just lining this thing up with the lift points. All right, I'm going to go ahead and bring it up a little bit. And then once I get close, I can make sure they're lined up. All right, so I'm going to go back down, and I'm actually going to stack the blocks because the lift frame, I'll show you here. The way this was coming up, this frame was actually coming in contact with this body molding stuff here. So I'm just going to stack, oops, I need to go a little bit lower. So I'm going to stack those blocks, and I should be able to clear that okay. Okay, I've got both sides adjusted pretty evenly. All right, so there's the first lock. So I'll show you the way this locking mechanism works. Pretty simple, really. So this lever, there's two welded pieces in here. This lever has this little kind of cam thing, and it just rolls over, and this fork there hooks in there, and now when I take pressure down, sorry, light. If I come down, there, I'm locked. I'm no longer on hydraulic pressure, but I'm mechanically locked at that point. And actually, so on that first lock position, ooh, my tires are just, actually the front tires are off the ground. I've got clearance on the front. The back ones are up just a little bit. Before I get all the way up, I'm going to oh yeah, it's pretty sturdy. All right, so both sides clicked. Let the pressure off. And I've got tons of clearance. So easily works with a Jeep Grand Cherokee. The test will be with the F-150, but these things actually sit fairly high so who knows, maybe this will actually work with my truck without coming up with some kind of a special block. So cool, works good. So then to release it, all you do is lift this. Oops, I gotta come up a little bit, take pressure off. Once pressure's off, I think I just release this, and this cam just slides down, and now oops, I almost made a mistake. Very important, got to release both sides. All right, that one's released. That one's released. Now we can go down. There you go. Pretty slick. That's cool. That's for even doing basic stuff like changing oil. One thing I haven't been able to do is rotate tires, and I need to rotate tires on 4 cars. So I'm gonna get that knocked out. So that's gonna save me money immediately. Doing brakes, just basic, anything you wanna, if you're polishing a car, being able to get it up off the ground, these things are cool. I really like them. I think they're gonna be a nice addition to my shop. So now the big question is can I get my truck in the air with them? All right, I'm gonna put the camera down here so you can see, and we're gonna go up with this thing. All right, so there's first wheel lock. Just gonna give it kind of a, so far seems pretty solid.
All right, it's up. And I am happy. Look at that. We got good ground, we got good clearance under that, the front wheel and the back wheel. They're not up a lot, but they are probably 2 inches off the ground. Truck is, it's steady. It's not going anywhere. Side to side. Up and down, it seems real good. Well, I am happy. I really thought I was going to have to make some blocks to get this thing up off the ground. One thing I'll mention, if you use one of these things, and fortunately I was paying attention, so because of the way the system, you know, when it comes up, depending if you have the jacks facing frontwards or backwards, when that ram comes up, the whole frame shifts to the rear. And so, of course, by doing so, it actually moves the vehicle back. So I knew I was relatively close to my door, and I looked before I came up, and I actually had to I took my hitch off, because if I wouldn't have, my hitch would have hit that door. So just one thing to pay attention to these things. They do move forward and back. I would say probably, I don't know, probably 8 to 10 inches, I suppose, probably move back. But good frame support. I've got the 2 blocks, and that works. Awesome. So there you go, guys, the QuickJack. This is the QuickJack. This is the 7000 EXT model, the extended model, which means that the frames are actually longer. You can get these things in, I think I've seen them in 3,500. I think you can get them in 3,500 pounds, 5,000 pounds, and 7,000 pounds. And I don't know why you would get the lesser ones, I guess, unless you think you'd never actually lift a truck. But the 7,000, obviously it lifts my my F-150. This is just a bone stock F-150 with factory wheels and tires. It doesn't have anything special. So if you've got bigger wheels and tires, or a lift or something like that, then obviously you're going to have to do something to get it higher off the ground. But just a stock F-150, it works as is. Don't have to add anything special. So hopefully you guys find that interesting. I'm going to use this thing a bunch. I've got a couple projects coming up. Like I mentioned earlier, I got to go around and rotate all the tires in my truck, my wife's car, my 2 kids' cars. So that's all got to be done. I've been kind of putting that off just because I didn't want to mess around with making the appointment and bringing it to town, but now I can knock that out myself, and I'm sure I'll have other stuff coming up with these things too. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you did, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more projects with the QuickJacks, and we'll see you in the next video.